Hello, this is Father Michael Nasser coming to you from St. Nicholas of Grand Rapids, Michigan with this week's Midweek Reflection. And today I'm reflecting on something that we all struggle with, and that is change. We had a really big change brought to us last week with the CDC changing the recommendations on the wearing of masks. And then I think it was on a Friday afternoon, maybe this Thursday, I don't know, we got a letter from the Archdiocese saying this Sunday, you don't have to wear masks. Try to accommodate those that still need to and want to. But anyway, big change. A change that a lot of us have been looking forward to for a long time. Not everybody was, but a lot of us were. And so you'd say, wow, everything would be great. And yet it was hard. It was hard. Even though it was something we wanted, it was different. It was challenging. There was things to communicate. There was misunderstandings. And that's good to remember because we all think that when things change for what we would call the better, we're going to love it. But the fact is we struggle. We struggle when it's for the worse, which means it's hard. But the reality is we struggle with change no matter if it's for the better or for the worse, whether it makes our lives easier or harder. Change is hard for everybody. But here's the bigger challenge. Change is the only thing that doesn't change. In other words, there's always going to be changes. It's going to change and change and change. And we're going to want things to stay the same. The only thing that's going to stay the same is that things are changing. So that's the quote unquote bad news. What's the good news? Even though change is hard, even good changes are hard, even though change is going to be the only thing that's going to stick with us all the time, that is not going to change is more change. You know what the good news is? Change is one of the best ways that we can be reminded that we need God. When things don't change, we can't imagine to ourselves we're doing okay for ourselves. We just we build our own worlds the way we want to build it, and as long as things don't change, we're fine. Well, let's face it, none of us without God are fine. We're not. But we can imagine we are when things don't change. We get things to be the same, the way we want them, and then we get really comfortable and we think, of course, never out loud, never even inside our own brains that we recognize, but in other ways, we sort of accept this idea of we're good. We're good, yes, with God. We're always good with God because God's good with us. God wants to show us all his love and his mercy and his peace, all those wonderful things. But when we think we're good, we don't often want to be open to what God has for us. So even though, yes, change is really hard, even good change is really hard, even though change is always going to be with us, it's the only constant, change is great for us. Even though it's hard, it's great for us because it reminds us that we need God. We need him all the time. Whether or not things change or not, we need him. And sometimes when things change the most is when we remember the most that we need God. So whenever you're stressed out because things just keep changing and you want them not to change anymore, realize that that's okay because change can help us remember how good our God is. We have to rely on him and not just our own sense of keeping things the same. So if you found that helpful, please share it via your friends or to your friends via social media. And we'll see you, God willing, in next week's video.